Today's weather update video, we're going to be talking about the severe weather that's going to be happening through the next 2 days, and as well as the heat wave that we have been experiencing along the East Coast and around mostly in the United States as well. For our current warnings right now, we do have a lot of heat advisories and excessive heat warnings, mainly along the eastern coast here. We'll have excessive heat warnings. However, if you're really anywhere east of the Mississippi, you'll most likely see some heat advisories. Even some areas around Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, northern Illinois, even down here into the mid-Ohio Valley, we could be seeing some of those excessive heat temperatures as well. Except if you live in the Appalachians, you might not be seeing any of those warnings, which in case, indeed, I might call you lucky for that. And we also do have a potential flooding threat over here in New Mexico in the western part of Texas, and our severe weather threat that we're going to be talking about later today for Colorado, Wyoming, and Nebraska. For our day one categorical outlook, again, northeastern Colorado, which does include the Colorado area and some parts of the metropolitan area in suburban areas. Also over here into Wyoming, Nebraska, a little bit of Kansas, in South Dakota, we could be seeing some of that severe weather. We do actually have a long stretch of margarisk that goes all the way over to the Great Lakes and to the Northeast. So even if you're in this area, you got to be careful. And don't get me wrong, but I'm not sure why there's this gray line down here. Just ignore that if that ever pops up again. Now, for the wind risk that we could be seeing, we do have a slight risk for that same region over here. Also, we do have a long stretch of a 5% through the Great Lakes into the Northeast. We even have a little bit over here in the deep Appalachians near the Great Smoky Mountain ranges and a little bit at the Blue Ridge Mountains. So if you live over here, kind of in the Carolinas, eastern Kentucky and Tennessee, and a little bit of western Virginia, not West Virginia, western Virginia over here, you'll be seeing some severe weather. Also, a clarifying update, too, for the hail risk. They did originally this morning have a hatch risk outlook, but since the latest update from the Storm Prediction Center, they don't actually have that out now, so we don't need to be concerned about that significant hail now. However, still be aware of that, as it could happen. It's just there's much less of a chance that can happen now. We do have a little bit of a 5% chance around this, and also over here by our Great Smoky Mountain friends over here. For the tornado outlook, luckily it is only a 2% chance. However, a 2% chance does not mean zero, which means that we could have just a 1 or 2 tornadoes here and there. So still be advised about that. However, luckily there is a significantly low chance of that actually happening. Too, along the southeast here, we actually do have a large slight risk that extends up from Alabama to the Florida Panhandle. Most of Georgia and the Carolinas will actually be under this threat too, so be aware of that if you live in Atlanta, Pensacola, Mobile, Raleigh, anywhere along the southeast here. A little bit of the southeast corridor here, we could be seeing that. We do have a long stretch of that marginal risk still extending towards the Great Lakes and Ohio River Valley Basin over here and to the East Coast. So be aware of that severe weather chance. What we might see for the severe weather risk will definitely depend on a couple of factors. If that energy will actually be there and how much moisture we could be getting within these storms. Now, already around, 3 to 2 o'clock, we could be seeing some storms already firing up throughout Colorado and Wyoming, even a little bit over here in New Mexico. We have that some of these isolated storms will kind of be forming a little bit of a line, which we'll be getting our wind risk from there. Some embedded storms with these could have hail with it too, as well as these more isolated cells could even have some embedded tornadoes in them. And then as we kind of go into the overnight schedule, we can see that those storms kind of do move out of Colorado for a bit and kind of move over into Nebraska and Kansas, where we still could be having that threat, but it won't be as big or as much as we do anticipate for Wyoming and Colorado. So the chances will get less as it will progress on, but it's still there as a chance. So kind of throughout the evening into overnight, hours, we could be seeing some of that happen. Now, for excessive rainfall today, I am back on WeatherWise for here just to show the example, and also Pivotal Weather. For some reason, it's not working. I don't know why. But we do have a moderate risk for central New Mexico for that excessive rainfall. And then even this outer edge here, we do have a slight risk that surrounds that. We do actually have a big risk over here in the Midwest to northern plains of excessive rainfall. Honestly, that kind of looks like a bird for some reason I just drew out. But that is what it looks like for the excessive rainfall. Now, if we go into day 2, if weather-wise can load, we do have that same risk that is still present, which really has not moved at all, and that that risk still presents itself in central New Mexico. However, it is only a slight risk. However, that still can change over here, and that can present itself. Finally, over here in the Northeast, well, not really Northeast, but most of the Great Lakes, we finally could be seeing some rainfall as we've been dealing with all this heat, the orange being the heat advisories and the pink being the excessive heat warnings. We could be seeing some of that too. And then day 3, we could be seeing, that risk still there, still present. So keep in mind about the rainfall, especially coming in within the next couple of days. Wondering what the excessive rainfall looks like. It looks like this. It literally just looks like the continent or the country of the United States got removed. Don't ask me why that happened. But anyways, we're going to be going over to our quantitative precipitation over here, and we can see that precip does present itself over here in the Midwest, where, some areas we could be seeing up to, 4 to 5 inches possible. Even within the next 168 hours, which is like the next week, over here in the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, and Southeast, we're finally might be able to catch a break of excessive heat and droughts over here, that we finally could get some of that rain, and it's definitely going to feel nice when it starts first falling. Over here in central New Mexico, we could even have more rain. Some pockets over here could reach up to 6 inches of rain up to Basel, which is a lot of rain within the next week. So, beware of that. And the Midwest, we even have a larger, red area, which is like 2+ inches of rain. So be cautious and beware. Remember, turn around, don't drown, okay? Because most flood deaths occur in vehicles. So you got to remember that fact and to use it to your advantage. For the 6 to 10 temperature probability outlook, most of the country is going to be, above average. A little bit of New Mexico and Texas might be seeing some cooler than average temperatures. Lucky them, because, we don't really need this heat over here in the East Coast. We're done with it. I'm especially done with it. However, it is still going to be, raging on for most of us over here for the next day or two. Now, luckily for the East Coast, we do have some rain definitely coming within, middle to the end of this week, as you can see that some of that rain will start returning. However, places over here in Arizona and New Mexico, we don't really need that rain over here, because flooding can definitely occur in the 2 states over here, with, maybe even down here in southern Mississippi and Alabama, we could be seeing some rain too. All the country is either going to be experiencing, higher than average rain or rainfall, or just, your normal amount. It's probably going to be above average for basically all the country. Now, throughout the next 2 weeks, we could probably be seeing temperatures above average over here in the northern plains and Pacific Northwest, and also in the Southeast. However, a lot of us in the United States, so Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, Northeast, Central Plains, even a little bit of the Southwest here, we could be seeing near normal average temperatures, which is good to be seeing. And even over here in a little bit of the southern plains and Southwest, it could be seeing even cooler than average temperatures. So cold air, or cooler air at least, might be returning with no longer much more heat, especially over here in the Great Lakes and the Northeast. The 1 to 2 week probability for, precipitation is pretty much going to stay the same. There's not going to be much of a difference. Most of the country is either going to be above average or near normal average for, the next 2 weeks. All right, and that's going to be the end of today's weather update video. So if you guys want to see another one, make sure you guys like and subscribe for the next updates, and I'll see you guys the next time. Goodbye.